Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Infinite Crypto Cruisers. Hey there, folks. My name is Brad Varnell, and this is the Infinite Crypto YouTube channel. And today I am excited to introduce a fairly new segment to you called Token Teasers. And today I am super excited about this project. I actually had a very close friend and a really good community member that brought this project to me several months ago. And the more research that I did on it and the more that I looked at it, the more of an incredible cryptocurrency and blockchain project that I believe this to be. And so today I am excited to be able to introduce to you the founder and the CEO, Robert Mao of the ArcBlock project. Welcome to the channel, Robert. How you doing today?
Good. Thanks, Brad. It's my honor to be your channel. So I really appreciate you to introduce your audience about ArcBlock. Yeah, I'm happy to hear.
Likewise. I know that you are a very busy man, and I appreciate you taking a few minutes of your time to, just give us a little bit of your background and tell us a little bit about, ArcBlock. But, to get started, how did you get involved in cryptocurrency in the first place, and how did that lead you on this path that, created the ArcBlock project?
Yeah, sure. So actually my involvement with the cryptocurrency is actually pretty early. It's during the time, I worked in Microsoft Ireland and Microsoft in Ireland. And unfortunately, my team get hit by one of the Microsoft layoff, and all my team is laid off. But for some reason, I can move to Microsoft headquarters in Redmond. So I have a period of the window that has nothing to do, but with a lot of computers. That was like years 2009. So I regarding myself a geek. I like to play around all this kind of new technology. So I get involved into this kind of groups of people doing the cryptographics, and I learned about there's something coming up called Bitcoins at the time. But I just watching, and honestly, I never believed that can be a real money or anything. But think this is a cool technology to use cryptographic and try to solve some problem. So during that time, I say, since I'm free, I have nothing to do. I just kind of put myself give me a little bit time to look into this, and also download the Bitcoin client and mine some Bitcoin on the servers. So that's year 2009 when it's super early and I get into the Bitcoin. But that's just a brief time. And when I moved to US, I forget everything. I forget about everything. Of course, I didn't even bring that computer, that server. So I erased that hard drive before I moved. So that basically said I contributed quite a bit of Bitcoins, for the community, because I didn't have. I mined it, but I didn't have it, right?
Right.
So many years later, one of my colleagues in Microsoft in Ireland, he's one of the most brilliant guys, called Flavian. And when I in Microsoft Redmond, I heard about that Flavian just to quit Microsoft and starting his own business. And then every time when I heard one of my smart colleagues go out, leave and build their own business, I always will try to figure out, hey, what this guy is doing. And I learned that he actually joined one of the Peter Thiel's program and tried to build a new technology based on the Bitcoin. So he actually he is one of the very early person who created colored coin. So this is some technology before Ethereum. And I learned about, and when I look at that, I think, this is something on the Bitcoin, which is actually I played a couple of years ago, and I never think this can become something. But since Flavian is one of the smartest colleagues I ever know, quit Microsoft and do the startup on the Bitcoin, and so that is something I need to pay more attention. So that's the time that I began to pay more attention on the blockchain technology. And then year 2013, I quit Microsoft and started my own company. So that's the early stage of the ArcBlock, which is not called ArcBlock. So basically, I struggled in starting a new business in United States for a few years until I found the path on the ArcBlock. but I observed the blockchain, and especially one of the projects I really liked is Ethereum, because Ethereum is at the time is promising to be one of the blockchain that run applications instead of just being a peer-to-peer money, right? So I know that Ethereum is also inspired by Carded Coin, which is my colleague Flavian ever contributed a lot. And I was really excited about that project, and I'm thinking that is a great foundation to build in my next startup. So one of the projects at the time I try to build I call it knowledge network. The idea is everybody has a knowledge base, but everybody want to have the knowledge base, but do not want to share the knowledge. So then that become like a problem. Everybody wants the knowledge, but nobody wants to share the knowledge. What if there's building a platform that is create a network of this knowledge base and use this kind of incentive plan, token incentive plan, to encourage people to share the knowledge, and then you can getting some tokens, and then if you want to kind of consume others' knowledge, and then you can spend some of those tokens. So it seems that this is a great idea, and Ethereum is a great foundation to build on this. So that's how I eventually say I want to build some application on the blockchain, and so that's also how I get to learn about Ethereum, the whole community. Then after I tried building on those, I realized that even the vision of the Ethereum is great, but the foundation at the time is not that solid. There's a lot of things is broken here and there. Is lack of tools, lack of the foundation, lack of the frameworks here and there. So to be able to build this knowledge network, spend tremendous time to try to kind of build some libraries and frameworks and tools, and try to build on top of those blockchain, to enable building application on top of it, right? So eventually in year 2017, I'm trying to raise some fund for my knowledge network project. I remember I visited a lot of VCs, a lot of investors, and when I show them, okay, this knowledge network, almost nobody interested, right? But some of them say, hey, look, you build some framework on top of Ethereum that can build applications, right? So that's more interesting, until one of the investors, they said, hey, Robert, I don't interested in your knowledge network at this moment, but I think what you built to enable your knowledge network on top of the blockchain, that is amazing. Right? And then eventually, I think that doing a startup, you have to be adaptive and thinking. And I think that maybe not a lot of people realize that knowledge network is that important. But apparently, a lot of people really want to build something on top of blockchain. That is basically in year 2017. And everybody going to hit the same problem that I hit before, because you cannot build a skyscraper on top of the sand. Right? So even it's great, but it's still a land of sand. If you build something that is a great foundation, potentially people are going to be easier to build applications on top of that. So that is actually the idea come for ArcBlock. Year 2017, we decided to make a pivot. So let's forget about the application at that moment. Let's focus on building, a platform to help developers build decentralized applications easier and faster, and worry less about all those kind of details and those kind of concepts, in the lower level. But instead, we build this kind of solid ground, and to make the developers just like ourselves easier to build the apps. So that's how we turned into ArcBlock. Yeah, that's basically the whole story. How I get into it, how we become ArcBlock.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Seattle, I was telling you, is kind of my hometown, and I'm going to say that Microsoft is one of the reasons that I've done very well in cryptocurrency, is because I was right there in the backyard of Microsoft when it opened. I was born in 73, so I was a little bit young, when they went public. I was only 16, 17 years old, and I didn't really understand stock market, but I watched people make a lot of money in Microsoft, and I never bought one share of Microsoft because I was a young, stupid kid. And I know people that, bought a couple $1,000s in Microsoft back in, 1990, that turned that into, a huge pile of money. And when I saw Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, I really saw the vision. It sounds kind of like you did, where blockchain technology is going to revolutionize so many industries, in this world. And so I was really open to jumping in, and I didn't want to miss the opportunities that cryptocurrency was going to offer. And it sounds like you took full advantage of it also. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So when did you found ArcBlock? And what exactly, it sounds like you had real world, problems that you wanted to provide solutions for. So what is that with ArcBlock? What does it do, and how do you envision it, changing the world, if you will, and making, a difference? It sounds like it's a project that's mission driven, not just there, it's not a Dogecoin. This has, real world utility and value.
Yeah. So when actually this sometimes comes with my background, right? Before I started ArcBlock, I worked for Microsoft for like 5 years, and before I joined Microsoft, and actually I was in China, and I started 2 startups, and all focused on building building some stuff, right? So basically, my background is always try to building software in a professional way, try to build a software. So that's kind of a thing. So when I get into the crypto and the blockchain, so I belongs to the old guys compared to most of the blockchain project. They're young kids, they're passionate, they're very talented. But I'm a kind of old guy with a lot of experience, and also like this kind of professional software engineering skills. This is sometimes regarding as advantage because you know more, but this is also sometimes regarding as a disadvantage because you are thinking the old way, not the new way, right?
Yeah.
So when we started this, I constantly feel the problem is that there's so many blockchain projects, especially around the year 2016, 17. There's too many projects coming out, but most of them, honestly, I don't understand them, right? So when I read their white papers and try to dig into the technology, the more I read, the more I get confused. Right. Honestly, the Bitcoin's white paper is very easy to follow, very easy to read. Ethereum's white paper is great. It's very visionary and also very simple to read. You don't need to you don't need to be a rocket scientist to be able to understand what they will try to do, right? However, there's many other projects. So when I read them, I either feel that either these are complete liars, or all my careers and knowledge in the past is just a waste because because I don't understand. Eventually, I figured out. While blockchain is a great new technology, so there's a lot of noises, and so those noises always come in to the new industry. People, because for example, I experienced the internet bubble, so it's basically the same thing. There's a lot of noises, a lot of thinking, saying this is new thing is going to completely replace traditional technology. But eventually, when you find out, when you deep into it, you see actually the foundation part is exactly the same. So blockchain technology is nothing but computer science. It's just a new technology with some kind of new twist, with some kind of new innovation there. So that's why when I eventually decided to do the blockchain framework, that's how I found that, okay, even though in the market there's so many new projects, they either say they're going to be a new new blockchain or new maybe Ethereum killers. But if you deeply look into it, so if you want to build application there, they actually face the same problem because the foundation is not there yet. So we decided to say we're not going to do something that is head-to-head compete with all of those people doing the same thing. But instead, we just focus on the future. The future is you have to have a lot of applications on top of the blockchain, and to make the blockchain popular, to make the blockchain, massive adoption, right? To enable that, you need to enable the developers, right? Even there's some super smart people, they can create one of the very good new technology blockchain, but you still need hundreds or even tens of thousands of people to be able to build on top of those technologies. So in order to make this like a massive adoptions. So
right.
Why we not enable those people, instead of building something that is very, low level and the distance away from the users. So if you look at that, the white paper we write in 2017, actually at the time, I put a lot of time into the white paper, because during that time, white paper is so important. I just found it's interesting. Today, it looks like a white paper is no longer important. People just give some slides or give some this kind of light paper. It's very, very blurred. But during that time, it's very important. People look into the project, seriously read the white paper. Even some of the white paper, they're probably completely nonsense, but they're still pretending writing a lot of words. So I put a lot of time to thinking and what exactly the problem we should and how we should solve this problem. But totally the goal is for enabling the developers, just like myself, because I myself is a developer, right? So I played Bitcoin and tried to see my colleagues, try to build application on Bitcoin. I try to build this application myself on the blockchains, and then I kind of feel that I know the pain. I know where the pain point is. So that's we try to target. So in simple, ArcBlock just try to enable developers. Even today, we try to help developers to build apps, to build application on blockchain easier. Yeah, thanks for bringing up this diagram. So this diagram, fortunately, even it's evolved from our first version. The major architect didn't change a lot. So this diagram is, honestly, I think this diagram is pretty clear. And so we kind of divide our whole platform into several layers, right? So this is how computer science and the software engineer does. There's a joke in computer science said that if you hit a problem that you cannot solve in computer science, just add another layer. Right? There's nothing you cannot solve. Add a new layer on top of it. So the lowest, so for the ArcBlock architect, the lowest layer is a little bit abstract. We call the identity layers. So that's where the decentralized identifiers and the decentralized identity lies. A lot of people who are familiar with our project will know that ArcBlock is a big promoter of the decentralized identifier technology. We are one of the very early company who worked together with W3Cs. Way early before W3C DID became a recommendation. So our identifier layers is basically some kind of very basic framework and the tools that build it around DID. So the DID, W3C DID is a loosey group, that a lot of companies and people are working toward. But we all agreed that there is some common standard and a common protocol that we should abide. So the foundation is the DID itself, decentralized identifier. So it's just a format. Yeah, it's just a format. And one thing that is a little bit kind of confusing a lot of people, but I think that's super important, is verifiable credentials. So verifiable credentials is basically built on top of the DID to use cryptographics to let you verify a lot of things. So verifiable credentials can be a lot of things. It can be used as like verify your identity, verify, do the KYC. And in ArcBlock, we use verifiable credentials for a lot of things. So anybody who is using ArcBlock is actually using verifiable credentials all the time, because everything that you need verification in ArcBlock, it is actually a VC, verified credentials. And any of those NFT, non-fungible tokens, we actually use a verifiable credentials data format as a payload of our non-fungible token. So basically, it's used everywhere. And the DID wallet, DID Connect, and DID naming service, those are just the service that we want to make sure that DID can be useful, right? So those you can regarding this is kind of like infrastructures to enable the DID, to be able to work. So these layers, in this identity layer, from this point, this layer, actually it has nothing to do with the blockchain itself. It's all about the identifiers, it's all about the cryptographic and the verifications.
Okay.
On top of that, so you can see there's a box we call the compute, storage, and the blockchain. So compute is basically, if you want to build application on top of blockchain, no matter what, blockchain itself is not enough. The blockchain, I would say blockchain itself is just a very expensive and a very slow, but verifiable and immutable storage. So it's kind of like a special database. It's the position of the blockchain in the whole system market is equivalent to the database, but it solves some problem that database cannot solve in the past. Right? So that's the innovation point of the blockchain. That's why it's important. But just putting everything on the blockchain is actually not feasible. Is not doable. You need some other stuff like the storage, like the computing, to be able to support the full applications. So that's why I'm thinking the ArcBlock, even though a lot of people think, when people think about ArcBlock, they think ArcBlock is a blockchain company, but actually blockchain is just the one piece in the ArcBlock architect, because we built, and the most of the focus actually that we spending are on the computing side. So that's our blocklet server and a blocklet framework. So this is where the user application can run and can deploy. Right? So built on top of the decentralized identity layers, we are able to creating this blocklet framework, and we also have this we call open chain access protocol, which is the idea is don't worry about which blockchain to connect with, right? Just to build application. A good application is supposed to be able to connect with any blockchain as you wish. Okay. Yeah, if you have a scenario that you need to connect to Bitcoin, and you have another scenario you need to use Solana, why the framework should stop you from using some blockchain? No, as a framework for the developer, we should be open, to be able to connect with any blockchain. So that's actually one of the important concepts we starting to kind of promote or starting to focus on since years 2017. We think as a developer, you don't need to worry about. You need to think my application, I build application where the user case is, and my application should be able to connect to any blockchain, right? So that's a computing, storage, and the blockchain part that we build on top of this layer. On top of this layer, and then you can begin to build applications run on top of that. One thing really important for the software developers, not just ArcBlock, for any software developers, when the software engineering is coming into the concept as a concept, evolving, I think in like year 1960s. So that's a software engineering theory began to emerge. People already realize that software reuse is the most important thing in the software industry, because nobody can build something from scratch. Everybody needs to build something on top of somebody else. So to be able to have this kind of a reusable component, and also more importantly the composable component, that's extremely important. And especially for the DApps, this is a relatively new stuff. So we do not have that much developers like the traditional software industry. But since we have less people working on this, that basically means it's more important to have all of those kind of reusable components to be able to, to compose together. So then all the developers, you only need to focus on the core ideas and the core, and the core problem you try to solve, without worrying about building reinvented wheels again and again, right? So that's how we enable this platform and build a bunch of these kind of reusable components. So our developers, when they want to build a new application, they don't need to build everything from scratch. They just kind of compose in them, and they probably just build one or two of the new components. And also this enabled a new market that some of the developers are great at solve a problem, building these consumer applications or business applications. But some of the developers, they're probably not great to solve a real problem from a customer, but they're very good at building these building blocks, right? So these components, we don't need to build everything by ourselves. So instead, this is the open platform that anybody can build applications that you can be reused by others. So that's so on top of this kind of component layer and application layers, that we expect more and more builders to work together with us. And so that's basically the whole architect and the whole vision. And we have this kind of like for many years, and we just this is a huge engineer. So there are a lot of works to be done, and also because blockchain is very new, so there are new technology coming out every day. So the biggest challenge is we have to vet every new technology and think, is this something that we should adjust, or we should adapt, or is this something just just like a Fed, or just like some kind of we should just ignore them and stay focused, right? So it has been a lot of works, but so far so good. So I'm glad that one of the prediction that I made, when we started, is correct, which is blockchain technology and dApps, they're just computer science, right? There's no magic. So it's just solid computer science. So that's drives us to be able to have a vision and build the foundations one step after another.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I know you got to be humble, but I can brag a little bit, So, for those of you that are watching this video, like I said, I've been paying close attention to this project now for the last 6 months, and you guys are doing some amazing things. You are really growing your brand, and people's awareness of your project has, boomed exponentially over the last few months. There's a lot of people that are very excited, about what you guys are doing and the future of ArcBlock. And I really appreciate you spending, a few minutes of your day with us to really go through and outline, what the whole project is all about. And at this point in time, where would you like people to, come and, become a part of your community if they want to? Do you want them to visit you on Twitter? Do you guys have a Telegram or a Discord group that you would like the community to join? Or where exactly would you like people to find you if they're watching this video and they want to support the project?
Yeah, so the best way to reach us is we have arcblock.community. It's a website, arcblock.community. Okay. Just to go to arcblock.community. I'm also active in Twitter. And ArcBlock, one thing that I want to everybody know, that arcblock.community itself is a dApps built completely on ArcBlock stack. That's also include our website. Anything that you see from ArcBlock is built on ArcBlock. So that basically means that so we basically use our own building blocks to build these applications, include our community, to kind of prove that blockchain and the dApps, it is so accessible, right? It's just you probably don't even tell the difference, and it's just better because it has everything that a centralized application can do, plus you own your own data, and you have your own identity. You have all those kind of benefit from the blockchain, and the most important is self-sovereign, right? You completely control your data, your identity, and your assets. So that's why I always say Web3 and dApps is way much better than the Web2. Because why? Because Web3 can be as good as Web2, plus it has some features that Web2 can never have, because that centralized design, by design, it cannot let you to completely own your data. It cannot secure your asset. This is Web3 can do, right?
Right. Absolutely, man. So thank you for being here again. Thank you for sharing all that information. We'll make sure that all of those links end up in the description of the video so that my community can come become a part of your community. And, with that, just, thank you all for watching. God bless you all and have a fantastic day. And we'll see you again real soon.